Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to What is America to You. I'm your host, Derek Dempsey. We're coming at you from New York. Okay, before we start, you got to give us a subscribe over here because we really need it. And over here, you got to give us a like. No dislike, just a like. No thumbs down, thumbs up. Anybody who gives us a thumbs down, we'll hunt you down. It's a promise. Right? We're going to hunt you down for the thumbs down. I'm thinking a song coming on here. Anyway, okay, our next guest is a local entrepreneur, rapper, composer, fine young gentleman. And I hate the fact that I say fine young gentleman. It makes me feel like I'm so old now. I'm only 25. And he has an album coming out online on the 21st of August of this year. It's called Fade to Black. It's available on Google, Spotify, Apple, and on Matthew's website, which we'll get to. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Matthew Hardy. Welcome to What is America to You. Matthew, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing great, doing great. So the album's coming out like what, many days from now? Like 10 days, less?
I think around there, like about less than that, yeah.
So you must be like working like crazy for it every day?
Just getting everything together, getting the team together, having a couple of listening sessions, just critiquing some stuff. But yeah, for the most part, we're up and ready to go.
Now, do you find the process of creating harder than the process of promoting, or vice versa?
I think the creating part actually comes pretty easy to me. I find that some of the songs, it kind of depends on what I'm doing. If it's like a big work, or if it's like something like Diamonds of the Opera, like one of my songs, Diamonds of the Opera, stuff like that. Like if it's a big production, yeah, it takes a while. But I find that promoting it is actually a little harder than actually producing it. I love producing it. It's just trying to get it out there and making people want to care and listen to it is the hardest part.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because I just say it comes natural to be creative, and you want to do that. But the promotion part, that's why we all need a good PR, whatever. Now, Diamonds, what's it called again? I'm sorry.
Diamonds of the Opera.
Diamonds of the Opera. You have a girl singing opera style in that.
Charlotte Detrick. Yep.
Right. And who mixed that recording?
Jessica did.
I want to be sure. That happens to be Air Jessica right here.
Yes, she mixed it. She did an amazing job. I actually, the entire song I wrote, all the orchestrated pieces and stuff, and that I have to say that was probably like one of my most. That was one of my most defining moments for myself, where I was like, I had put a lot of time into this. I had worked with a lot of different people on that record, and I knew that for me, this is something that I knew I wanted to commit to. This is something that I needed and wanted to do.
It's brilliant. I've listened to your stuff, but a lyric I want to ask you about is, I love this lyric. I don't rap to be the best. I'm already the best. When my family's in a manner with a trust I can rest, pass hands to the family, cut off mortgage and debts. I love that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I come from a part of Ireland where, we didn't have a lot of money. I had holes in my shoes all the time. So I had that dream of being the best, coming to America and, living in a big home. And thankfully, I've done a lot of things. And that's what I love, with all the many faults that we have in this country. And we could sit here for 10 hours, and we had quite a conversation about that recently. I really do think there's an opportunity to be the best and to live in the manor and get rid of mortgages. This country offers that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. That line is from my new song, Family Discussion. And yes, it definitely talks to like the idea of either it's like we have this mindset of either we're going to live in poverty or we're going to live paying somebody until the day we die. So, I wanted to speak to not just everybody on that line, but I wanted to speak to my family on that line and let them know that, hey, someone's out here working with you guys to break us away from that kind of idea of rat racing. And, because I'm not and I said, I'm not rapping just to rap. I don't have to rap just to rap. I do this in hopes that somebody or my family or someone will feel inspired by what I'm saying.
Right.
So that's kind of like what I was speaking to. And like, even as far as the manner, like once everyone in my family doesn't feel like they have to do as much as the last person did, or they're a lot more established, just a general, like, I'm sure everyone has that point in their life where they're just like, I just want my family to be okay. I just want to know that they're fine. They don't have to bust their rump to get to to feel successful.
Absolutely, and it's funny you say that about you don't rap because you rap because you want to when you want to say something. I think a lot of people misunderstand rap. There is some bad rap, like there's some bad rock, like there's some bad pop, but rap to me is the voice of the unheard. As Martin Luther King said about not that rap is violent at all, but some rap is. But Martin Luther King said, "Violence is the voice of the unheard." And rap to me is like, Irish rebel songs about what the British did to your Irish. To me, most rap music is people in black communities talking about how they feel about how they're treated. And a lot of people misunderstand that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely have to second that. I think a lot of times, it depends on who you listen, like Wu-Tang or Jay-Z or Kanye. It kind of depends on where you come from, if you can relate to that. And it's not really something that's trying to promote you doing it, but it just kind of like turns into people doing those, committing those actions. But you are 100% right. It's just those where I'm from, I was born in the Bronx and was raised up in Yonkers. A lot of times those people don't really feel like they're heard. And that's how they end up getting it, or they just feel like no one really accepts them for who they are. So a lot of times they feel like that's the only way that they can get that stuff out is by putting it on the mic and, putting it to a beat and letting people hear it.
Exactly, and it's the same with Irish rebel songs because, the Irish were basically 1,000 years of occupation by the British, and in that 1,000 years, we spoke about this the other day, in Jewish culture and black culture and Irish culture, in what they all went through separately and differently. Men were emasculated. You were in a situation in all of those cultures where if you spoke up to the man, not only did you put yourself at risk, you put your family at risk. So you had to stand back, not allowed to be a man. But one way you could do it in song, you could do it in your culture, you could do it in your religion, and in rap is just a newer version of that to me. Right. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Could you tell us a little bit about the naming of your record company and the naming of the Fate of Black album? What's the behind that?
Legit Records, actually, believe it or not, that came from when I was a small little boy. I walked into, so my cousin's actually, he actually has a career in the music business, and my aunt, I think she still has the same house. I walked into the house one day, and we were walking into the sunroom. I think I was about 5 or 6 years old, and when I turned to the left, I remember it like it was yesterday. He had platinum plaques on the wall. And I remember saying that as a kid, saying, I want that. So I used to look at the back of CD covers, and I used to like draw and draw pictures and whatnot. And I said to myself, well, these are real. They were paper records. I used to have like a paper records. And I said, you know what? These are legitimate records. These are real records for me in my head. And so that's where I just shortened it. And that's where legit came from.
Excellent.
And
excellent. Yeah.
So that's where that came from. And the logo, I kind of got the idea from Jay-Z's Rockefeller, because it's got like a chemical bottle or like a beaker behind it or something. So I just actually, the logo in the back of and behind the word legit, that's how I write my signature. And behind that is actually a record.
Right. Well, I've seen the logo.
It's like a vinyl.
The logo was like all good logos. It's minimalist. It's very simple but effective. It's not taking over your eye. And then quickly, we're going to show a video in a second of you performing live with Gwen Lasta, who actually I've worked with before. But Fade to Black, tell us briefly how that came about.
Fade to Black, actually, that was supposed to be like one of my last projects for me personally. And I was just going to probably focus more on like the other artists that I'm working with. But I kind of decided to go a different direction, and with the way that things were going in the world and stuff like that, I kind of wanted to use this opportunity in my platform to speak to some of these things. So actually, the album is it starts off with my grandfather was the person who plays my grandfather speaking to me, and I'm actually speaking to my son throughout the album, and it plays and it shows him the ways to get his to generational wealth and trust funds and hedge funds. And then the last track speaks about being free, You know, like that part where we were saying earlier about, you know, cutting us off from mortgages and debts. And if, you know, at the end of it, you know, it goes back into a loop. And if you play the album backwards, it's actually my son talking to his
Oh,
son.
wow.
And yeah, and he actually is passing the stuff on to his son, and then his son is passing it on to him. So the whole album is a cycle of generational wealth, and it's the idea of fade to black being you're fading into who you are. You're not just letting someone else define, or the stereotype of, like, you know, well, all hip hop songs are bad. No, there's some good hip hop songs, and all people are like this. No, you know, you're fading into that definition of who you are as a person, rather than letting someone else define your blackness.
Absolutely brilliant. I love it. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so we're going to show a video. This is Matthew performing live, and actually the lady playing violin I've worked with before. Her name is Gwen Laster. I don't know the keyboard player, but we'll get to that when it's over. Anyway, let's roll this video of Matthew performing live.
I guess it's time for me to go. I don't want to, but have to go. It was all cool during the winter until you flipped on me during the summer. We had a nice vibe, we cried at times, but the only time we cried was during movie nights. We would take rides to the park, play laser tag, pop a couple of Pepsis, and then we just walk. We talk about kids, we talk about me being hubby, you being wifey in a family. Now I'm wondering what happened. I'm asking what happened. Your head got bigger than the Phoenix, messing with X-Men. You can consider me X-Men. Who's your alliance with? I hear you talk smooth, but your aura sounding proof, sounding like poof. My mind telling me no, but I still find a way to deny it. Cause you's a lie, you's a lie. I feel my heart burning from your fire. Now how you really ready for the next if you're still playing tug of war with your ex? Then you put the stress upon your current. I shouldn't deal with this mess. Hop up in the ride, put the ruler on repeat. Turn the volume up and let the world know I'm riding solo. Riding down a foggy road in the middle of the night as you vent to your friend about a situation does a lot for your soul.
That was Emotional by Matthew Hardy, recorded live, and with Gwen Lassiter on violin. Okay, so earlier on we talked a bit about Jay-Z and Snoop Dogg. You're a big fan of Jay-Z, right?
Yeah.
Right. See, I think he says, like 99 Problems, when he's talking about getting stopped for doing 44, I think he says 46 and a 45. I get that, man, and for different reasons, but I love that. I also love Empire State of Mind. I love the see, like what he's saying about foreigners, forgetting the foreigners in the city and forgetting where they are, and a lot. He talks a lot about respect. I'm not a fan of Beyonce, by the way. I just don't get her. But Jay-Z, I think he's a freaking genius. Now, Snoop Dogg, you like Snoop Dogg?
Yeah, I like Snoop.
Could you say what the difference is between them as rappers? Is that something you could speak about?
They come from they have two different kind of styles. Jay is from East Side, you know, Snoop is from West. So they're both legends, but as far as I think it's more so like the subject, the cadence, the flow, but they're both legends in their own right.
Right. They're so distinctive. I mean, Biggie, I used to say when I first had Biggie, he was like the Sinatra of rapping because of his phrasing. You know, his phrasing is incredible. Snoop Dogg's phrasing is so different to Jay-Z. And I can't tell you what it is. I can just hear it, you know. But I think Jay-Z is more political. Do you?
A little bit more so. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would say so. It's geared towards that.
Right. Do you ever hear the album by Snoop Dogg? I think it's called Rhythm and Gangster from 2000 with Drop It Like It's Hot on it.
Yeah, I have that album.
You have that album? Great album. I love that he closes the album with a Curtis Mayfield song. Nothing on Me. And that's like pretty political. Okay, so listen, we're going to wrap it up, but we have a couple of things before we go. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the any promotional things going on with the album? Exactly what time it's going to be released on August 21st? Anything at all?
August 21st, we have it coming out on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon. Pretty much the day it's actually being released is the day that Nat Turner actually rebelled against his slave masters.
Excellent.
So that's why I picked that day for the album to be released. I figured if the whole album is very symbolic, so that was important for me to kind of like continue with that
That's cool.
that theme. The other thing I'm kind of doing as far as promotional for that is I'm working with a couple of other people, trying to kind of like just get placements and hear people's take on it. Um, and I'm gonna have some. I also have some stuff going to where you buy the album. I'm actually gonna take a portion of the profits and donate it to Black charities, Black foundations, and try to help out with some of these communities, or try to invest into something that'll help create some sort of financial literacy for people in those impoverished areas. And
That's
that's
brilliant.
just about it. And my website, you could find. I'm also you can. I'm gonna post the lyrics on my website. You can check out the website at www.majestic slash or dash rather dash experience.com,
Great.
and you can pretty much find all the lyrics from the album there. And I'll even have links to the videos where some of the skits. I have some skits in there, so you can even find some of the skits from the album, available online and stuff like that.
Great. And for anybody who doesn't know who Nat Turner is, Nate Turner, look him up. Look up the history and how his life ended. Incredible. But he was just an incredible spirit, like beyond
Yeah.
belief. So if you don't know who he is, look him up and you get the symbolism of the release. That's giving me bumps, man.
Thank you.
Right, big time.
Yeah, it was important only because, again, like I just want to go back on that, like the whole idea of not letting other people define your blackness, but allowing yourself to do that. That's part of the reasons why I stuck with the name Fade to Black. And the whole idea is freeing yourself from this financial slavery
Yep.
and fading into black. So that, just keeping that theme was important to me. So when I did my research and found out that, that August 21st, this was the day he rebelled, then the day he was murdered, 2 days after the rebellion, it was important for me to keep true to that,
That's
and I figured that it would kind of like make people feel like, why did he pick that day? And I wanted it to drive people's thoughts. That I wanted to be very thought provoking.
Well, the way I look at it is if anybody that doesn't know who Nat Turner is looks them up, they learn something and have a better understanding of being black in America. Really, this is the last thing I'll say, because I could go on forever about civil rights, and I know we spent an hour and a half last week talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of Jane Elliott. She's a white granny-looking woman. Right. My favourite thing she said was she was in a room with 2,000 people, and they just all happened to be mostly white. And she said to the audience, is there anybody in this room, all white people, who would be okay and be like, yeah, I'd be okay being black in America, please raise your hand. You know how many hands were raised? None. That says how difficult it is to be black in America. Now, I know there's going to be people who are listening who say fucking bullshit. Honestly, I don't care. I don't care. So that's fuck you. Not you, them.
I could tell you from living experience that it's harder. It's difficult, and that's kind of part of the reasons why I had the centralized theme was kind of like creating your own wealth and defining yourself, and not letting, because if you let other people define you, where like you're a criminal, or you're just mischievous, or you're like those people in those rap songs and stuff, you'll start to believe those things.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to create something that, again, kind of like was thought provoking, and it created like an idea. I actually, not to hop around, but I played it in a listening session for a couple of the guys who produced it. A couple of other people were involved, and they said they felt empowered.
Wow.
So for me, it meant a lot, and they were older. So, and I'm not as old as they were, but for me, that meant something because they lived through this stuff that I did. Not to say that we don't go through stuff, but I'm not going through the same stuff that my grandfathers and my uncles and my great grandfathers went through. So for someone who was from that generation, say it's so empowering, it meant a lot to me.
But that's an achievement. Well, I have a question to ask you, but I'll leave this rhetorical question for us all and for listeners. How do blind people become racist? I'm dead serious.
It's taught.
Right? That's the answer right there. Okay.
I mean, you could live. I mean, you have people who are white, who are black, and you obviously you're born with some of those biases, but the shaping and molding of the culture, or rather, so the hate, that's taught.
Yeah.
You know,
I believe it. I believe it.
Kids don't. I didn't think about that when I first when I'm from I'm from New York City. So when I came up here, all I saw was black people. So when I came up here and I started kind of like diversifying what I saw, because my mother valued education, which is why she brought us up here. But you know, I went into a store one day. I gave a guy $20, but the milk was only $3, and he only gave me $5. And I thought to myself, my mother's going to kill me because the guy wanted money back. And I ended up getting my mother, and she drove me up to the store, and she demanded the money back. And you know, he just kind of was like, you know, does your son go to school? Is he stupid?
Oh.
And my mother told me, this is why education is important for someone who looks like you. So you know, that's not something that comes from, I got this experience from this and that person, because you can run into different white people and different black people and have different experiences. So not one exception is the rule. But the idea of more people, or just a lot of people, or just some people you come in contact with not liking you just based off your skin color, just it's a thing. And you know, this is why I kind of like wanted to make this project focus on defining yourself as a person, because even with all this stuff going on right now in America, it proves that it's hard to define yourself. Like it comes to a point in time, what side do I pick? Am I black? Do I want to be black in America? So this is why I named it Fade to Black. I kept Fade to Black, and I wanted to make it a thought-provoking kind of project for people who are of color, and even people who aren't of color, just to listen to it and just open their mind and their eyes to something new.
Matthew, as you were saying that, I thought to myself, and I'm not going to go on because I could go on forever about this. I never have to say, do I want to be white? Do I not want to be white? It's kind of similar to somebody who's gay. I never had to come to my parents and say, and Dad, I'm heterosexual. I never had to worry about that. I never had to worry about walking down the street holding the girl's hand or kissing the girl. And I never had to worry, you know, how am I going to be being white in this culture? So that's it says so much. Anyway, listen, I have one question, and it's the question we ask all our guests before we close. Matthew Hardy, what is America to you?
Wealth.
I love it. Okay. Thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck. We wish you the best of luck from What is America to You? 2 Legit Records, Fade to Black, coming out August 21st, 2020. Listen to the album forward and listen to it backwards. Hear the message. Matthew, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you. Okay, that was Matthew Hardy, and as I already said, Legit Records, the album Fade to Black is coming out August 21st, and it's going to be released on Google, Spotify, and Apple, and Matthew's own website. Okay, that's it for our show today. We want to say thank you to you for listening. Subscribe, like. The beautiful woman behind the camera who's on the wrong side of the camera, but that's just the way things turned out. Jessica Clee making it all happen. I'm your host, Derek Dempsey. If you do comment, please comment, but please be respectful to each other. Don't be an asshole. And we will see you again from us to you. Goodbye for now.
Driving along, minding my own business. Heading east through the Kentucky rain. There on the radio, Johnny Cash was singing. I hurt myself just to see if I still feel pain. All along, my head was ringing. There